Welcome to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, a program for and about women. Joyce Buford is a certified coach who has a passion for helping women who need a second wind. Joyce is the creator of Uncover Your Hidden Genius, a program that will help you live a life of greater purpose, fulfillment, and ease. As a certified coach, she studied directly with her mentor, Jack Canfield, author of the Chicken Soup book series, where she served as an assistant to his training program. Through her study with many prestigious coaches and mentors, she has created a powerful program that has positively impacted hundreds of people. On today's program, Joyce and her guest will help you learn how to get your second wind. Now here's our host, Joyce Buford.
Good morning. Welcome to Second Wind. Well, I want to share with you before we get into this program that you may notice my voice is a little lower today. It's my sexy voice, but actually it's my spring voice. Because what happens in East Texas is that we have this gorgeous blooming of God's nature. It's all over the place. We have beautiful flowers. We have just a lovely setting here. I wish you all could see it. But what it brings with it is pollen. And what pollen does to me is what you are hearing. So I want you to know what's going on with us today and that we really, really, really wanted to be able to talk to you and share my wonderful guest that had already planned her schedule as well. She's coming to us from the faraway island of Costa Rica. Doesn't that sound awesome? Well, she's awesome. Her name is Janine Buford, and Janine has lived in Costa Rica 26 years. Now, I'm thinking Buford is French. Is that right, Janine?
It is, Joyce.
It is. You relocated. You really did. I can't imagine. But we'll hear that story. She has combined her career in tourism in industry with studying, practicing, and teaching yoga and energy psychology. While being an external student, she is a certified professional Kripalu yoga teacher since 1989, a certified yoga of the heart teacher, and a certified emotional healing technique practitioner. So she's so well trained. In 1991, she designed an inner therapeutic yoga practice entitled Tapping into Soul and has been facilitating this amazing, fast, and unique self-healing journey with thousands of people, locally and internationally. In addition to facilitating private sessions in person or via internet, because she does live in Costa Rica, she leads workshops and circles of women, giving lectures and teaching a few yoga classes. Her commitment to the community service inspired her to organize multiple healing arts lectures, events, and journeys for many people visiting Costa Rica. She has taught and facilitated her tapping into soul in various Central America countries, Canada, United States, Mexico, Peru, and Italy. So she's really getting out there to spread the message of her unique talent in helping people experience rebirth. My latest endeavor, she says, is writing her book on self-helping process, tapping into soul, and creating a virtual training. Welcome, Janine.
Well, I'm very happy to be with you, Joyce.
We have had a long friendship from maybe 6 or 7 years where we trained together. And I've always been so... there's a spirit about Janine of peacefulness and a tranquility that when you're in her presence, you sort of feel this. And so it's a wonderful quality and it draws people to her. So I know that your work, Janine, has been so helpful to so many people. So how did you get to Costa Rica from France?
Well, not exactly from France, and no, I'm French Canadian.
Okay.
I mean, my ancestors came from France. In fact, the first King Courier was a Fafard in Quebec. Yes, and a little correction, which a lot of people do, Joyce. Costa Rica is not an island. It's because we are between the Pacific and the Atlantic, and a lot of people do think that it's an island, but we are like the bridge between North America and South America. We are a very tiny little country, but honestly, it is the heart of the Americas. The central point of the Americas is right here in this country. Yeah.
I guess I kind of felt that because we were down on the ocean, and I know there's many different terrains in the country, mountains and also the ocean.
Yeah.
But we did a retreat there, and we stayed on the ocean, so I guess that's where my brain was.
Yes. No, but a lot of people do the same. They think the same. So I just wanted to clarify that. I'm kind of picky about my little Costa Rica.
Well, you've been there for 26 years. You can be picky.
Well, even I would say, since December '89. Yeah. And it's very strange. What happened is that 4 or 5 years before that, I ended up training for those years, 4 or 5 years, with a very special woman in Montreal. And that changed my life. And that's exactly about like half of my life, because recently, I have no problem saying it, I turned 66. And yes. And I would say when I was 33, I embarked on a very special journey where I was very unsatisfied with what was going on, and I knew there was something wrong, and somehow I had always been looking for a teacher, but not a usual teacher. And I found that woman she found me in Montreal, and I trained with her for 4 years, and we're talking about over 30 years ago. And so it was all about energy, healing, meditation, yoga, spiritual practices. And so it was not exactly, fashion in those days. But it really turned my life around, because I had been extremely rational. And I learned to connect with the real me, which is honestly like your own focus also, how to live from where the real us, the real person.
It's amazing you say that was 30 years ago, but we're still learning to use those very same practices to touch the heart, to be centered, to use the energy of the body, go inside versus outside. We're still in that process, and we're still teaching that to the world, because we are such thinkers. We like to start in the brain.
Yes, I agree. But that's why I believe that I have this ability to really help people. I mean, earlier you mentioned about my peace, Of course, sometimes I'm out of my own inner peace, but that is my work. That is my life work, and that's what I love doing, is helping people connect more with their inner peace, because that's the real self.
Right.
The real self is not stressed out. The real self is not anxious. It's peace. And so I do my best, and I always tell people, the answer is not outside.
Yes, yes. So what are those practices that you use when you work with an individual or you teach in a class?
Well, after many, many years of teaching Kripalu is a tradition, is a yogic tradition, and in fact, it's the biggest health center in the United States on the East Coast, but for all United States. That's the tradition, and I mixed it with the Himalayan tradition also at one point, and it became more and more obvious that, of course, the external practice, because I need to mention that, because right now the word yoga means exercise.
Yes.
And most of the what I see around, because I introduced in a way yoga here in Costa Rica 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing, and for nearly 10 years I had to really do a lot of work to make people understand that it had nothing to do with religion, and in fact it was helping you, deepening your own faith. And people had a hard time at the beginning, but it moved. Meanwhile, at the same time that I was teaching some external form of yoga, using the postures and the breathing and all that,
Yeah.
Parallel to it, I developed this way of helping people making a quick connection with their own self. Because personally, Joyce, at one point, I mean, it took me years to be able to put it into words. I didn't have the language for a long, long time. I was not sure what I was doing. But I realized that salute, like what we say here.
Yo, thank you.
God bless you. And what we are really doing, may it be an external form of practice, which really a yoga class should be a meditation. Okay, a yoga class by definition is meditation. So that's why sometimes I have a hard time to understand when I see words like yoga and meditation. By definition, yoga is a meditation. It is not exercise. The definition of yoga is very, very short, very simple. It is calming the thought waves. So there are many, many ways to do that. So you can be in a state of yoga while you're washing dishes, while you're driving, while you're walking, while you're cleaning your house. You can be in a state of yoga. Yoga is the union of the body, mind, and spirit. And that is how somehow I develop a work to help people make that connection faster. Because I discover, and that's my own understanding and my own perception, that the root of all problems for me is a level of disconnection with who we are. And that's why my work is entirely very connected with all what you're doing, because you focus on authenticity. You focus on helping people see and living more from who they are. And that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, you're so right. Here I think I have tried yoga, the physical yoga, where I go to the class, and that's all I think about is standing on one leg. I think about the practice, the physical practice, more than I think of the inner practice that you're telling us about.
Yeah, the mobility, the flexibility, the balance, the coordination, the postures, everything has really been designed so that at the last moment, the last part of a yoga class, when you're lying down in what we call the corpse pose or the Shavasana in the Sanskrit, that is the most important moment. Because you have done so much and stretch your muscles and everything and sweat a little bit and all that. And then you lie down, and normally your mind, the thought waves have calmed down. So you're getting out of the way so that the real, true self, your pure energy, your prana, which is called the chi, the ki, the force in the movie movie, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that energy is way, way, way beyond your own little intelligence. And it knows exactly what to do. So when you're lying down and you have stretched out, you have opened up your channels of energy and everything, then the energy can flow and repair what it needs to be repaired. You're getting out of the way. It's the most difficult part of a yoga class. Really. But the truth is, it's not about circus. It's not about putting the leg behind the head. It's about accepting where you are at that moment.
Awesome. Now, you talk about you combined a practice that you and I both learned at the same time, but you've developed more into your practice of coaching. Is the tapping, or what we call emotional technique, how does that work in your coaching or working with a client?
Yeah, you know, tapping is a wonderful technique. I mean, it's so easy. The truth is, we can teach it to a 5-year-old.
Yes.
And I introduced that technique in Costa Rica about 12 years ago. And what happened, through a French friend who lives in Ireland, and she came visit, and she told me about that practice. And so we created a few workshops because I wanted to know more about it. And then I continued. Now, tapping was maybe developed like in the 70s, but in truth, it is using many thousands of years old practice, the meridian, the channels of energy in your body, which is used in acupuncture. So here we are, we're hitting some points very softly on the body, very simple, very few points. At the same time, we are talking. And what happened is when this technique, when I discovered that technique here with this friend and studied it a little bit more each time, I realized that it was like a tool for me to go much faster into helping the person to open a door and connect. And really, the technique tapping originally was called EFT by Gary Gregg, Emotional Freedom Technique. And some people will say, well, what does my chronic pain has to do with emotions? And what has my problem with my boss do with emotional freedom technique? You know, everything is related with emotions, and emotion is nothing else than energy in motion. That's all. And so when that emotion is trapped, it doesn't help you. It creates some problem. It's not the emotion that is the problem. It's because it's trapped. It needs to flow. It needs to run like a river. And for some people, it will express itself physically. For some other people, it will express itself like anxiety, depression, relationship, big problem. And the technique is so nice and so easy. And you can lower anxiety, you can lower your level of fear, you can help yourself and help others so quickly. It's taking responsibility for your own health, and it's taking your own health into your own hands, which is truly, like, exactly, literally taking it into your own hands, because you're using your hands to do to hit some points on your body in a very soft manner. Yesterday I ended up working with a 5.5-year-old boy with the parents next to him, and it's so much fun because you can see really quickly how the child is catching up. They catch really fast. And also yesterday I had a woman who is going through divorce. And so it touches the tapping technique is something that I'm using. It's a tool for me. Yeah. It's a tool that I combine with my own work that I've developed a long time ago, nearly 30 years ago, because I discovered that I could go much faster.
Yeah, working. I'm going to say, when you tap on your head, and would you just quickly, not with a lot of explanation, because just quickly tell the audience those points that they tap on gently, to go through this process, so that they'll kind of have a better understanding if this is their introduction to tapping.
Okay, good. It's really going mainstream right now, so that is really fun to see what's happening.
Yeah.
But the first point is, you use your dominant hand. It doesn't matter, really. It could be any hand, but it's easier with your dominant hand. And you put the other hand, on top of the first hand, and you tap at the base of your little finger, and we call it the karate chop point. Karate chop point, like if you would be cutting a board by giving a big hit, it would be with the edge of your hand. But it's also, if you notice, it's also when you shake the hand of someone, when you give a hand to someone, you're grabbing that part of the hand. And just quickly, I want you to understand that this is the heart meridian there. So when you give the hand to someone, when you shake the hand, you're saying, I want to be friend, or I'm here in a friendly way. You're holding their heart meridian. But here, all what we do is we give a few little tapping with the dominant hand. We do tap on that point, and we repeat 3 times, even though I have this problem. Maybe the problem is a headache. Maybe the problem is pain in my right knee. Maybe the problem is problem with my boss. Whatever, with my partner. And you tap there and you say, even though I have this problem, I choose to love and accept myself the best I can. And you repeat that 3 times. There is a whole reason there, but we're not going to enter into the details. But basically what we're saying, even though I have this problem, I'm okay. I do my best to love myself, because, Joyce, a long time ago, I discovered you cannot transform anything if you don't accept it first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here you're saying, even though I have this problem, I'm pretty good. I'm a good person. I love myself. I accept myself as I am. I do my best 3 times. And then with the 2 fingers, index and middle finger, with your dominant hand, it's easier. You go to the inner corner of your dominant side, eye. If it's your right hand, you go to the inner corner of your right eye, and you tap gently there, right where the eyebrow and the nose meet. And so you tap gently there, and you say, for example, let's use headache. And even if you don't have a headache, if you follow us, just tap gently there. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a headache, just the fact that you're tapping somehow your body is going to start relaxing. Your cortisol level, which is one of the stress hormones, is going to lower. It's quite amazing. So you tap maybe 5, 6, 7 times. It doesn't matter. And then you go to the outside of the eye, the dominant side, the same eye, the same side, near the eye, not back on the temple, but very close to the eye. And you repeat the problem, the headache, the problem with my boss, whatever. You know, and then you go under the eye, in the middle, on the bone. That's the other point. I'm the one.
No, you can't cough. I'm the only one that can cough today.
Okay. And then the other point is under the nose. You tap gently there, and even if it is only to repeat this problem, you know, whatever the problem is, and then in the little crease of your chin, you tap there. And then you tap right under the clavicle. It doesn't matter which side. You could even use both hands if you want. And very often that point is kind of tender. Okay? And then you go under the opposite arm at the level of the breast. It looks funny. You know, it looks really a little weird, but
looks like a chicken dance.
Yeah, you tap under at the level of the breast. You know, you tap gently there. Each of these points are very important in the meridian world. You know, they all have a very specific function on a specific organ. And while you're saying this headache, for example, there is something that is happening in your brain. And it starts changing the connection to the pain. And then the last point is the top of the head. You look like a little monkey, but you tap there, and maybe you're saying, I'm open to let go of that headache. And funny enough, you stop, you breathe, which breathing is unfortunately one of the main problem with all the whatever is going on with everybody.
Janine, I've got to stop you here because we're going to go to break. So I just need to stop. But this is the complete cycle of going through a tapping experience. And the words that you say as you tap through help you release the stress that you experience. So I'm kind of putting in a little quick basket there. And when we come back, we can address more if you'd like. So we'll be back with Janine.
No problem.
Transformational coach, motivational speaker, and author Joyce Buford returns after this short break.
Would you like to know how to bring more ease to all the decisions you need to make in life? Knowing your core values is the first step in Joyce's free live masterclass. You'll discover your top 5 core values in as little as 45 minutes. Join her now at freegiftfromjoyce.com. Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
Welcome back to this segment of Second Wind. Joyce Buford, the creator of Uncover Your Hidden Genius, continues in this segment to share insight that will help you live a life of greater purpose, fulfillment, and ease. Now here's our host, author and coach, Joyce Buford.
Today we are talking with Joyce Buford, who has a practice on Oops, where are you, Janine?
Yeah, I'm
Tapping
here. I'm
into
here.
soul.
Tapping into soul.
Tapping into soul. And she, just before break, she went over the quick process just to give you some idea if tapping is new to you, maybe you didn't know what we were talking about. But she gave us a very good example quickly of moving through the points on the head and the upper body through this process. In a quick summary, Janine, what did we have to, I kind of had to cut you off. So what would you say after we went through the entire process of points?
Yeah, it's a very quick, I give often introduction to tapping for people to start using it because it is such an amazing tool. Even if you start using it with very simple things, all I want to say is that it can go from very simple things to just lower your level of stress or lower headache to very complicated matters. And it's a fabulous tool. You're going to probably see different variations on internet and all that. I'm going to have my own videos soon in my own website because too many people have asked me to do some. And I never thought that I needed to do it because I thought there is so much material out there already that I never saw but people say, please, we want you to do so. Very soon I'll have my own variation because many people told me, but I tried tapping, for important matter. Usually it's easier to work with someone who knows it. Yes. Like I said, for me, it's a tool. I combine it with my own work. And recently, I work with a woman who's a fabulous person who has been in the healing, for 30-some years. And I was in Ecuador giving a conference and a workshop. And we met there. And she had something going on. And she says, could you help me? And I said, yes, sure. And I started helping her. And she was extremely surprised. She says, oh, my God, someone had done tapping with me some years ago, but it didn't really work for me. I didn't feel anything. And now this is amazing what you're doing. Well, it's just because each practitioner will have their own style. And so you have to understand that the way I use tapping might be different than another person.
Yes, right. Now, on your website, since we are talking a little bit about it, your website is called www.stressful2soulful.com.
Yes, and very soon it will be under my name, Janine Buford. But the Stressful to Soulful will always be connected. It's just that, sometimes people in other language is a little difficult for them to say it.
Yes.
But I've always loved the expression because it's moving from a stressful way of living to a soulful way of being.
Yes. Now, on your website, you have all of the things that you offer, but one of the wonderful things that are there are the audios and different breathing techniques that people can have that you just freely give to them. This is, there must be, I didn't count them, but there have to be at least 7 or 8.
Yeah, there are 7 audios in English about the breathing. They are short, but they are so important because for me it's a key. It's the first key. People are having such a difficulty to understand that their way of breathing, the correct way of breathing, will change their lives. And I have a few audios in Spanish. There is a small video that is called Release Tension, where I show a little exercise that you can do in bed at night. Very simple, combining with the correct breathing. not an advanced breathing. It's the way a baby breathes. And release tension, because tension is the very number one problem. Before trying to address why you're having such a difficult time with your boss or with your spouse or, with your kids, you must release tension. And then there is another little video that is a 5-minute daily routine. And funny enough, Joyce, I did that little video about 2 years ago in my studio for my students, and I put it out, and it has over 1,300,000
Oh
views.
my goodness, that's pretty good.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know exactly how it happened, but it's a real short little, and there is a bit of tapping there.
Yeah.
But it is not the technique as such. It's a way of releasing stress, releasing tension, and lifting up your energy.
Yes. I want to share that as, doing the radio show this morning and being tempted, you know how you get in those coughing fits. I know we've all experienced this.
Yes.
Where we don't want to cough, and so there's something that goes on inside our body that says, I may cough. So the stress level rises. And then what happens? We cough. So I use the tapping technique to help me calm down because I was stressing. I didn't want to cough on the show. So do you have a neighbor whistling at you?
It's a bird. Costa Rica is tropical country, so we have a lot of birds.
She showed me yesterday the view from her patio where she does her daily work, and it's a beautiful view overlooking the ocean. So that's the bird is out there. But anyway, using the tapping techniques just changes the stress, releases the stress in those tapping points. All I did was tap as she was going through her points. So that's an example of how it can be used in our daily lives.
Absolutely. And one little point that I always tell everybody, you're feeling anxious, tap in the very middle of your chest, between the breast and the throat. There is it's the point where there is a gland called the thymus gland, and you tap there, and it's going to lower your anxiety, and it's going to lift up your immune system. So it's really worth to know it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk just briefly about something that you have done before as we were talking about it. I remember a few years ago that you really disconnected from Costa Rica and took, I want to say it, a journey to feed your soul. I mean, it was just fascinating that you felt this was so important. Why was it that you literally withdrew yourself to make this journey that went on for 2 or 3 months, I believe? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months, and it was quite a crazy decision, and but there was a deep need inside of me because you start working with a lot of people, and then sometimes you start forgetting about yourself.
Yes.
And I was just getting a little disconnected, and I needed a renewal. I needed to renew myself, and I knew very well that if I was staying here, I wouldn't be able to cut off.
Yes.
And so I planned quite last minute, I must say, a trip to Europe. And originally I was going to stay 6 months. I did 3 months. And I did connect with a few people, a few women that I had known through the years, and they had returned living in Europe. And I organized a few connections where I would meet with them maybe for 3 days or something like that. But otherwise, I kind of allowed a lot of flexibility also, to be open to whatever would happen. I was even thinking of possibly doing house sitting. There's a fabulous website about house and pet sitting all over the world. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. But instead, it happened that I finished the last 3 weeks on an island, northern Scotland, a very, very sacred pilgrimage island. And a friend lent me her house. There are very, very few houses there. And it was very special. I had to do that reconnection. I had to meet these friends that knew me years before. And I wanted to have their vision towards me. How did they perceive me in those days? And how were they perceiving me now? It was like I needed kind of a mirror effect. It was extremely empowering. It was frightening and a bit not to travel. I have no problem. I don't feel fear for traveling. But, taking such a break, and you never know, there are all kind of things that can happen. But I just pushed it away, and I said, I always had a beautiful star, a beautiful angel taking care of me, and this will continue.
Yeah. Now, we talked a little bit about judgment when somebody makes a decision like this because of an inner calling. Now, I'm not talking about, for you listening, that has to be quite as ambitious as what Janine did. But I do think that we all need those moments of withdrawal so that we can come back and center ourselves. Mothers constantly give, and they wear themselves out. They do not feed their souls. They do not know who they are because they give their entire life from when the children come, certainly, but they also do it in the marriages. So we need that time. We need to say, I need to go away for a weekend. Even a weekend will feed your soul. Now, Janine went to the peak, I think, by having the 3 months on a religious retreat. So, but I know that she experienced judgment from other people in making such a crazy decision. Did you, Janine, really experience that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And from envy, jealousy, or literally people projecting their own fears on me. And I was aware of that. And the fact is that, I always remember what a great yoga teacher that I had, a yoga master really, said once, every time you step in front of a class, you become a punching bag. You become a target where people are going to project their own things on you as soon as you become sort of a teacher. And so it was the same, because I knew that by doing that, some friends would absolutely support me. Some others, their fears came out, and they would try to discourage me or say, but even a friend was trying to make me feel guilty because I was leaving my cat. I said, yeah, I'm not leaving my cat. I'm putting someone in my apartment who's going to take care of my cat.
Yes.
I'm having a person that is going to continue with my yoga classes. She can't do everything, but at least my cat is going to be well taken care of. But she was adamant. There was a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's only a projection of your own fears.
Yes.
As soon as we judge someone else, we have to look at, what button is it pushing inside of me?
Yes. Yes. And that is so awakening when we understand what judgment really is. It's almost like a mirror reflecting to us our fears as
Absolutely.
we see it in someone else, and we think it's them that are going crazy. You have a quote over your bio that says, "Where your greatest fear lies, your greatest talents hides."
Yeah. It's something that I discovered over and over through the years, and because where our fear hides is what I call the shadow. And we have a tendency to reject, hide, push away, lock up that shadow because we think the shadow is bad. But in truth, the shadow is part of us that we rejected a long time ago because we judged that part of us. We judged that little girl. A woman that I had yesterday as a client who the husband left the house in December. She has not even cried once because she said it was like a huge lift up from my shoulders. And she said, "This is not what I want. I've been trying and trying and trying for years that he shows me a little bit of affection and all that." And we discovered the whole root in one session. We discovered the whole root of why she had accepted, because she's a very bubbly, happy person, extroverted. And she married this very introverted, who is abusive through silence. You understand? And we started making the connection. And what I did basically, I'm a shadow hunter, not a ghost hunter. I'm a shadow hunter. And I explained because something happened very small, and it was like 5 years old or 7 years old. I can't remember well because I forget very quickly. And she had separated. She had frozen that little girl with a very, very strong judgment that she was ugly, and she's not ugly at all. And she was bad, and she didn't deserve to be loved, and this and this and that. And she froze that little girl. She froze her, and that little girl, we discovered not only there is one that is frozen, there is one that jumps out of the body. And that is something that I work with, Joyce, for many, many, many years. And I wish I would know somebody else who's working with it. But we split off, Joyce. Yeah. We split off. It doesn't matter what the problem is. And what I help is I bring those two back together. And when that shadow, suddenly that shadow is not bad. And suddenly you're embracing that shadow transforms. Suddenly the real person is coming out, is showing up. And that's why I say, where your greatest fear lies, because you fear that anybody sees that ugly, bad little girl, because that's what the little girl does. If something bad happens, she feels guilty.
Yes.
She feels guilty because she cannot process emotions until the age of 7, 8, 9 years old. She doesn't process mentally the emotions. She absorbs the energy, but she cannot understand that the fight between the parents in front of her, she sees a huge fight. And I had someone the other day, she finally connected with that memory. She didn't remember that. But the body always tells you the truth. And she's in the garage. She sees the parents fighting, and she froze, what a little girl would do, like a little animal.
Yes.
And suddenly the father turns around like in slow motion, and his eyes looked at her like cold and said, "And it's all your fault."
Oh, dear.
Okay,
Oh.
so just by that example, I want you to understand the little girl not only froze, okay, with that belief, she jumped out of the body because she cannot run, she cannot fight, she is helpless. So she splits off and went and hides somewhere. What I do there, and I don't force anything, it's absolutely fascinating. Even kids do it. I unfreeze the one, I help one, the big person. She unfrees the little girl. We find the one that is hiding. We bring them together, and we allow the energy that got stuck inside to express itself, to flow. Yeah. And what happened? It frees. You gain your power back. And then you can see the truth in the father. Because he slapped at her, I mean, it was not that he didn't love his little girl. He was just in a rage. Yeah. And so when you are bringing the two together, suddenly the belief that it was all her fault, she was responsible, she was guilty, and a lot of other things happened, the parents split and da-da-da-da. So she felt guilty all her life. And here, suddenly, there is a reconciliation. There is suddenly compassion. There is an opening for yourself and for the person that did that to you. And there is that's when suddenly the shadow integrates and you embrace your shadow. And in that shadow is your real talent, is the real you, is the person that you've always wanted to be. It's the, you says there is a hidden genius. It is true. Everybody has a genius inside. You don't have to become a Picasso or a Jung or, Einstein. Yeah. But there is a genius inside. Nobody has your talent. Right. And when so unique. But when you're split off, you cannot connect with that talent. Right. Even if you're very successful in life. Yeah. I have met the big president of companies sometimes, and you know what? Their talent would have been maybe to grow carrots on a farm. Their soul calling. Yeah. Because the soul calling is the most important. Right.
Well, Janine, my listeners can not only hear you, but feel your passion in helping you reconnect with who they are. We have given some awesome information today, some resources for them to seek out, but we haven't told them how, if they would like more time with you, how to get to you. So share that with us.
Yes, through my website, Stressful to Soulful, only one L at Stressful, and Soulful, only one L, and .com. And soon it will be under my name, but also if you click on, if people are using Facebook, you can find me also Stressful to Soulful in Facebook. In my website, soon, in a week or two maximum, it will be even clearer. I offer private session. It can be live or, of course, through internet. People from all over find me. like you know me, Joyce, I've never been extremely commercial, but I'm in a big transition in the sense, not that I'm becoming commercial, but I'm opening more to groups, to conferences, because there are some information that I thought everybody knew, and they don't. And there are some ways, such simple, practical, easy things to do to release that stress. It's nothing academic, it's nothing theoretical, it's very practical. And when I do the sessions, the private sessions, I always suggest to commit to 3 sessions. And soon it will come out. I will have a 6-week program of full transformation.
Wonderful. Well, I encourage everybody that have touched emotionally with you today to take that step toward finding their inner healing with Janine. Go to her website, listen to some of her videos that she has there, the daily routine, the release of tension, listen to the breathing exercises, and then if you want more from Janine, please go to contact on the top of her website or her Facebook page. These are all touch points. These are all areas that you can get to Janine. And I really do encourage you in a way to grow, step outside, talk about the sabbatical that we had, that we talked about, that we all need for feeding our soul. So Janine, you've given us so much information that I really appreciate that you took the time to be with us today.
I'm so happy to be with you. You wear your name so well, Joyce, and it's a real joy to be with you on that program.
Thank you. Well, we are moving on from here. The hour is over, and we've successfully gotten through with only one coughing spell, both Janine and myself. We are grateful for that. But I do hope that you'll be with us next week with me as we continue talking and spreading the word of how to live with the second wind. Thank you for being with us today.
You're doing a beautiful work, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you.